Hello, welcome to Local Anesthetic Podcast, your regular injection of strange, weird, bizarre, sinister this week as well. I mean, they're always sinister, but even more so this week. Local news. This is episode 400, local news from around the world and locally sourced, of course. This is episode 412 now. I'm looking at Rob, 412.
Yes, that's right.
And, and this is our Halloween special, which we're actually recording... Which we're actually recording in advance. So actually finding Halloween-themed stories has been a bit tricky, but we have got quite a few, but not all. So we're going to actually mix things up a week this week, Rob, aren't we? And we're going to start off with the listener story, which isn't really Halloween-themed. Some stories Rob has that aren't Halloween-themed, and then we're going to get right into the spooky stuff where you can, I don't know, get your pumpkin out and your marshmallows. Not a euphemism. How are you doing there, Rob?
Yeah, mate, I'm not too bad. As we were discussing prior to the start of the podcast, it is cold, which, given the contrast, I mean, on the last episode we were talking about, unseasonably warm weather, and now it feels like autumn has finally caught up and gone. Well, it feels like we just skipped autumn and went straight to winter.
Yeah, I was saying that yesterday. I would like to say to our listeners, if you're a bit confused and thinking unseasonably warm weather last week, it's because Rob and I record these episodes about a week and a half, whatever it is, sometimes longer in advance, because we have to, because we're busy people. So that's why. Rob, is there any news before we kick? So we're going to start off with the listener story of the week this week, which feels like Bizarro World.
It does. No news, Alex. No, we can crack on with the listener story.
Okay, then it is time for our listener story of the week. Don't worry if you've just tuned in. You haven't skipped forward to the end of the episode. We're doing things a bit back to front because we want to.
Yeah, absolutely. So this is, it was submitted by Kyber, of course. It is from, this is a new paper. This is NPR News, which I believe it's an American paper, which I believe covers Minnesota, from what I've managed.
No, NPR is National Public Radio, Rob. In America.
No. NPR, Alex. NPR.
I do apologise. I thought you should have heard of NPR. Yeah, I was a bit.
Yeah, I've heard of NPR. Thank you. So this is from NPR. That's Mike Papa Romeo. Just to really make hammer that point home. NPR.
I apologise for sounding patronising or condescending, but it was actually meant in. I tried. It was meant in the...
Are you apologising on just this occasion, or just, for the entirety of the podcast?
Only this occasion.
Okay, good to know. So this is from the 13th of October by Dan Cracker. The headline is 76-year-old...
Whoa!
Yes?
So, whoa. Dan Cracker is just a great name.
It is Dan Cracker, yeah. I imagine he is a white guy as well. Anyway... So the headline is, 76-year-old pleads guilty to stealing Wizard of Oz ruby red slippers.
What, the originals? Or
the actual slippers. Okay. Yeah, no, the actual slippers.
What?
He's like a 76-year-old, Alex.
Right, okay. What was this, some sort of Mission Impossible heist? To get into a wealthy residence of somebody who owns these and sort of whisk them away from a sort of glass display cabinet, or not? They
were on display. Right. But let's get into it. So the 76-year-old man is charged with stealing a pair of ruby slippers worn by Judy Garland in the film The Wizard of Oz. He changed his plea to guilty at the federal courthouse in Duluth on Friday morning. Terry John Martin said he believed the slippers were actually made of rubies and then dumped them when he discovers they weren't, which is brilliant, Alex.
Right, so Rob, give me 1 second, sorry.
Listeners, I've no idea what's happened here. Alex has just dived under his desk for some reason. I'm not entirely sure whether he's trying to retrieve his own pair of ruby slippers that I'm unaware of. He's never talked about a particular passion or fixation with the Wizard of Oz, but I could be wrong.
No, even though the heating is firmly on, my feet were a little bit cold, and so I just had to get out a sort of blanket to put up where my feet are.
Sorry.
Yeah.
My feet Alex.
Were cold.
Okay. Are you telling me you've literally got a blanket over your legs?
No, I don't have a blanket over my legs. Although, Robert, can I just point out, as we speak, it is 6 degrees outside. No, I haven't got a blanket over my legs. I've got a blanket on the floor just so I can rest my feet on because my feet were a little bit cold.
Okay.
I should have put on some warmer. So actually, I've just forgotten. Hang on. Sorry again, listeners. Excuse me. I just forgot. I completely didn't need to do that because I've got some warm socks here that I'm going to put on instead, Rob. I didn't put, I've got my summer socks on, Rob. I don't even have my thick warm socks on, so that could be part of it.
Summer socks? What the fuck is... Sorry, summer socks? Is this...
I think they're thin. Right, look at these socks, Rob. They're thick.
Okay.
But the socks I had on were very thin, like a very thin like t-shirt material, and these are more like a, sweatshirt material. Yeah, there we go. I'm better now.
I think it's fair to say. I mean, I've spent more time up north to have a natural resilience to the cold, whereas Alex is, as we've discussed on previous podcasts, part of the metropolitan liberal elite. So these seasonal changes affect him a lot more than me. I'm hardened to the elements.
Possibly. What were we talking about? Right. So that was it. I was going to make 2 points. One is obviously, why would he think that the ruby red slippers were made out of rubies, and that was just stupid. But 2, Why would you discard them and not realise that if these are the original slippers worn in the film Wizard of Oz, they have intrinsic value because of that, possibly very high. Possibly, it's irrelevant whether they're made out of fucking rubies, mate. You've got the Wizard of Oz slippers. Yeah,
which, is an iconic piece of film history. I mean, as you rightly say, they are probably extremely valuable.
And, of course, have magical powers to take you to, other dimensions, really.
Also true. Yeah, absolutely. Bizarre. I mean, Alex, I don't want to speak ill of this gentleman. I mean, he's obviously from a small remote town in Minnesota. So maybe, after watching The Wizard of Oz, he generally believed that the ruby red slippers, and maybe he also believes that Oz is a real place. But yeah. So I don't know why he dumped them. I mean, he must have realised they had some value. But anyway, so apparently he admitted to using a small sledgehammer to break through the glass door into the Judy Garland Museum, which I didn't realise was a thing. So the Judy Garland Museum in Grand Rapids, Minnesota in 2005.
Which I would have thought would be better protected. I don't know. I wouldn't have thought it would be that easy to get into, but there you go.
Yeah. I would have thought, again, I would have thought these items were quite expensive, or at least they had quite a significant value. I mean, to stay behind plexiglass doesn't feel like it kind of justifies the item, really.
No.
So he then used the sledgehammer to break through the plexiglass case and stole the shoes. The slippers were on display in the actor's hometown on loan from a private Hollywood collector. So, they obviously are worth quite a bit. So apparently, this happened in 2015. The FBI recovered the slippers in 2018, but no one was charged in the heist until earlier this year when Martin was charged with one felony count of theft of a major artwork, which I really like.
That's a good episode, Tal.
Yeah, it really is. So, Chief U.S. District Judge Patrick Schlintz accepted Martin's guilty plea after asking him a long series of questions determining if he was mentally competent and understood the consequences of a guilty plea. Martin entered the courtroom in a wheelchair with an oxygen tank, wearing a flannel shirt and mask. His attorney, Dane.
Sorry, if he's
Dane
that.
Decay.
I don't know if he's done that to try and elicit sympathy or if he actually needs those things. But if he needs those things, how is he getting into the Judy Garland? I mean, was he getting into it in the wheelchair with the oxygen tank and the mask?
No. There was a significant period of time. So the actual theft took place in 2005.
In 1947.
Off the film.
Oh, well, no, that can't be right. That was before The Wizard of Oz was even released. Actually, when was The Wizard of Oz released? Maybe I'm wrong. When was The Wizard of Oz actually released? It must have been in the 50s or so. Wizard of Oz film. Okay, here we go, mate.
It might have been earlier, actually, I think.
1939, so I was all right. I was good. I was okay. 1947, that's when... Yeah, there we go. I shouldn't have questioned myself. 1939, who would have thought it, Rob?
Yeah. He actually stole the slippers in 2005, but the FBI didn't catch up with him until 2018, and then it took another 5 years to bring him to trial.
Good old FBI.
So good work there, FBI. Also, I hate to say it, but surely the FBI have got bigger fish to fry.
Yeah, why is this not a state? Why is this a federal crime and not a state? Why did it need the Federal Bureau of Investigation to get involved? Yeah. That is intriguing. That implies to me that there was, as I said, Rob, if, and it's a big if, the slippers do have supernatural properties, that would explain why they were all over this, Rob.
It's a very good point, Alex. It's a very good point, yeah.
Mm.
So his attorney, Dane Decay, said he had advanced COPD and is in hospice care. So unfortunately, he's at the end of his life, which is quite sad.
So is it really worth pursuing? I mean, they got the slippers back, didn't they?
They got the slippers back. Yeah, they have been recovered. So they have agreed the guilty plea. Decay said that apparently they were looking at a sentence that could take him from 0 to 10 years in prison. Anyway, let's move on to the actual slippers themselves. So the famous pair of ruby slippers that Martin swiped from the Jubilee Garden Museum were worn by Garland's character Dorothy in the iconic film as she clicks her heels and repeatedly says there's no place like home. At the time of the theft, the slippers were insured for... Do you want to know how much they were insured for?
I would reckon, Rob, about $150,000.
They were insured for $1 million.
And they were kept behind some plexiglass in a no security prison. Museum. Right. Okay. So if I'm insuring something for that amount of money, it's going to be in a safe at night, no?
You would think so, yeah. Also, by the way, the point at which the FBI recovered them, they said that the market value had actually risen to $3.5 million.
Right.
So again,
and he threw them. Did you say he threw them in a dumpster, or did I make that up?
No, he just said they dumped them. I don't know. Actually, let me just see. So,
is this man all right?
Okay, here we go, Alex. But during his plea hearing, Martin told the judge he had never attempted to collect on the insurance award for the slippers, which seems like a stupid thing to do. He said after hiding the shoes in a trailer near his home outside Grand Rapids, he took them to a jury fence, so someone who obviously fences jury, who told him the shoes were made of glass. Martin, who apparently believed the shoes were made of real gems, said after that he didn't want anything to do with them and left them with the fence. So basically, he went to a pawnbroker's and then left them there after the pawnbroker revealed that they were made of glass.
Did the pawnbroker try and sell them, or did they think, hang on a minute, these look... I mean, how did they... You would never think to yourself, these must be these slippers.
Well, it doesn't really go into say. It says after Martin stole the slippers, they disappeared for more than a decade, despite rewards offered that grew up to $1 million.
Oh, I see. So they were floating around the murky, right?
So they just disappeared.
Rob, there's a Netflix documentary in this, the hunt for Dorothy's slippers. No, I mean, this is an extraordinary tale. I'm really enjoying this.
So police in Grand Rapids asked the FBI's help and conducted a sting operation to recover the slippers, which have serial numbers and Garland's name scrawled on the inside. They are one of 4 pairs remaining and are considered among the most recognisable memorabilia in American film history. 4
pairs, right? Okay.
Yeah.
So but we don't know how they tracked them down. They must have had some tip off.
Doesn't give any more information. Yeah, it doesn't give any more information about how they were recovered.
Right. I want a Netflix documentary, Rob. We need to think of a name. We need to think of a name. It's got to be. Can we do this on air? It's got to be something to do with the Wizard of Oz, but it's also got to connote something about slippers. It also reminds me a bit of Cinderella, because didn't she have the missing slipper?
She did, the glass slipper. Yeah, of course.
I mean, the hunt for the glass.
No, it doesn't really work. The Wizard of Con. No, it doesn't work, does it? We can workshop it, Alex. We can workshop it.
Okay, we'll come back next. Yeah, I'm gonna have a think about it. It will come to me in the middle of the night. You know.
Yeah.
Right, Rob. You said you got one more story that is not Halloween themed. Am I correct? Before we can get on to the spooky stories.
I'm going to be a bit cheeky, Alex. It's actually 2 because I wanted to give you a quick update. Just to go back to something very... I'm not going to read the story, but I wanted just to feature this. Can you remember a few weeks ago we featured a story of 2 women who were conducting a lewd act outside an Iceland in Swindon?
That was quite a while ago, I'm going to be honest, mate. It was about a couple of months, but I do remember.
Yeah, it was a couple of months ago, yeah. So apparently one of the women who was involved in that has been back in court.
For another lewd act, or?
Well, I mean, it's quite sad, really. Apparently, she was found to basically she pleaded guilty to stealing wine from Iceland and stealing food from Greg's. I mean, I didn't even know what Iceland sold wine. I just don't imagine it's going to be that great, really. I mean,
you might be surprised, Rob. You might be surprised. Give Iceland a chance.
Yeah, you're right, Alex. I mean,
you can actually get some pretty decent things in Iceland if you look around.
Right. Are they sponsoring us this week? Is that why we're saying that?
No, I'm actually being serious. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I just don't think a meal made up of a Greggs sausage roll and a glass of whatever plonk they sell in Iceland would be that great somehow.
I thought that's how you celebrate your last anniversary with Sarah, Rob.
Which ironically was yesterday, Alex, but which you completely forgot about. I wasn't going to mention it.
Oh, I'm not. Seriously, as well as birthdays, I've got to remember people's anniversaries. I had no idea. No, it was your anniversary.
No, I was
really?
joking, Alex.
Oh, right. Was it your anniversary?
It was our wedding anniversary, our 6th wedding anniversary yesterday.
I don't remember you getting married in October, but maybe you did. Yeah. For some reason, I remember it being sort of late summer. I don't remember it being particularly cold. But, ironically, now I think about it, it was, yes.
It was, and I think the thing was, it was actually. I mean, people said it was quite strange because it was, again, I think the day itself was 22 degrees in October. So, the whole climate change has been happening for quite a few years now.
Yeah, so it's all a lot of rubbish, isn't it, Rob? Right, anyway, let's get on with it. Right, what's the rest? I want to get on to my spooky stories, Rob.
Okay, well, let me shelve my other story for the minute.
Yeah, I think actually we've got enough content. I think we've got enough content here, trust me. Right.
Okay.
So now, Rob, we're going to put on this, this frightening music. I don't know if frightening might be, but it's just, spooky, Rob. Because you have always enjoyed my impersonation of a ghost.
Ooh. I have.
Yeah.
That's the one.
There it is again. Yeah, right, do that every year. Right, Rob, let's go to Surrey. This is from the Traitorous Guardian. I could have really tried to find the local news one, but I didn't have time. It's by Kevin Rawlinson. I love this story, Rob. Now, Rob, this is something as well which I think will appeal to you because, again, I don't want to make assumptions, but in the kind of construct I have about you in my head, you're probably somebody, and because you've mentioned it before, you probably have visited many of the various theme parks in the UK. I believe there was a time I remember you were collecting vouchers from the Sun to go to Alton Towers or something. We're sorry to...
We went this year, yeah.
Yeah, we're sorry to all our, listeners in Liverpool, but I don't read the Sun, and I would not buy the Sun for vouchers, but Rob deemed that worth doing so that he could take his family to a theme park. Nevertheless, I imagine you have been to Alton Towers, so all you've got to do is say correct or incorrect. Alton Towers?
Yeah, many times, yeah.
No, correct or incorrect, I said. Alton Towers.
Right, okay, correct. Yes, correct.
Thorpe Park.
Correct. Correct.
Chessington World of Adventures.
Incorrect.
Blackpool Pleasure Beach.
Incorrect.
Oh. Anywhere you've been?
I've been to Blackpool.
Okay, but you didn't want to go to the Pleasure Beach.
I've been to Oakwood in Wales and Pembrokeshire.
No, never heard of it.
Been to Legoland. Went to Legoland this year.
Rob, this concerns Thorpe Park, and it's a fantastic story. Headline: Thorpe Park apologises to locals after blaring Halloween sound effects all night.
Yes, I actually believe that Face the Strange sent us this story. I haven't read it though, but
you told me we didn't have any Halloween themed stories from the listeners, Rob.
Do you know, you're right, Alex. The reason being is because he actually sent to me on Instagram. I completely forgot about it. So when I was looking at the
So do you know what then? Therefore, Face the Strange, you get the credit for this, and this counts as another listener story and another, unfortunately, just another disciplinary for Rob.
Sorry about that.
Right. Thorpe Park has been forced to apologise to residents after it kept them awake all night by blaring Halloween sound effects. We're talking, Rob, wails, screams, and spooky music for 12 hours, prompting one man to have to put ear defenders on his dog.
Hang on, I don't understand that because Thorpe. Have you ever been to Thorpe Park, Alex?
When I was a kid, I just remember it had something to do with that big rabbit.
Sorry, what?
Thorpe Park's mascot used to be a huge rabbit, man in a rabbit costume.
Did it?
It looked like a... Yes. Right, okay, see, right, here we are again. Do you know what? I mean, right, Thorpe Park...
Is this some sort of delusion you're experiencing here? I mean,
rabbit mascot. No, it was Rob, Mr. Rabbit, thank you. He was the... Right, so put in Mr. Rabbit, Thorpe Park, please.
Sorry, so the most original name they could come up with was Mr. Rabbit.
Yeah, and this was him.
Right. Hang on. Mr. Rabbit, Thorpe Park. Okay.
And this was what I grew up with. If you thought of Thorpe Park, you thought of this. Yeah, you see, this was him.
Yeah, that was before my time of visiting Thorpe Park, unfortunately.
Right, exactly. It's when those kind of things were okay, Rob. It's when dressing up as, crude woodland animals and sort of hanging out with kids was all right, Rob.
He's very he's quite. I don't want to get into any legal hot water here, but I mean, he always feels like almost a rip-off of Bugs Bunny.
Now listen, Rob. What were we talking about? So he had to put ear defender. How did we get to talking about Thorpe? Oh, you asked me if I've ever been. Yes, when I was a kid. Yes. Yeah, right, yes. The theme park in Chertsey, Surrey, played whale screams and spooky music for 12 hours straight after a technical glitch led to noise from its Fright Night event continuing through the night.
God.
The eerie racket prompted complaints from locals who said the bloody annoying clamour kept them from sleeping until early hours of the morning. I mean, can you imagine, hearing,
But also, I feel quite bad, because you may or may not know, Alex, that Thorpe Park has a hotel on site. So, would that mean their hotel guests being woken up frequently by ghostly noises?
I wouldn't say woken up, prevented from sleeping, yes.
Yeah.
You could hear it all through the house, and it kept waking me and my housemate, said Jonathan Tennant, which is a ironic name.
Yeah, it is.
He lives in a house with a tenant. A phone engineer who lives close by, he said he had to put ear defenders on his 12-year-old terrier, Seamus, to calm him down.
Right.
He even, Rob, went to the park gates in the early hours of the morning to complain, recording a video of the noise. He said, I thought there would be, so rather like your museum, Rob, you're going to be disappointed to hear, I thought there would be at least security, maintenance staff or cleaners, but it was all shut up and completely empty. So they just close it down, Rob, which is a bit weird if they do have hotel residents on the site. Maybe they just left to fend for themselves.
I think so. I mean, I think that's part of the Halloween experience. They lock themselves. They lock them into the hotel, and if they make it through the night, then they get a free breakfast.
Sorry. Another local who wished to remain.
That's you.
Sorry, listeners. This thing has happened to me. I'd like to know if it's happened to any of you. As I've got older, and I mean this, whenever I cough, if I have to cough a lot, my body then thinks it needs to sneeze, and that didn't happen for the first half of my life. For the latter, no, not half of my life. For the first, I'd say 30 years of my life, that didn't happen. But for the last 10 years, every time if I have to cough a lot,
right,
like if I've swallowed water down the wrong way and I cough a lot, my body then thinks I also need to sneeze. So it's convinced there's something that needs to be emitted, and it's going to do it whatever way possible. I'm hoping that in the latter stages of my life, a third way doesn't happen, that it's a cough, a sneeze, and I shoot myself.
I mean, it's always a concern, Alex. As we get older, there's always that possibility.
But anyway, another local who wished to remain anonymous said, it's ridiculous. The base started about 6 p.m. and rattled on until 7 a.m. I haven't slept a wink. Thorpe Park is running its Fright Night events through most of October, a spokesperson said. We would like to apologise for the noise disturbance that took place on the night of Sunday the 8th of October. We care about all of our local residents and do our utmost to ensure we are good neighbours. Our team worked hard to establish the root cause of the technical issue and worked as swiftly as possible to find a resolution. We have since put in place preventative measures to ensure we can stop our sound systems from playing immediately in the event of a system malfunction. We're confident that with this new process and with our ongoing proactive sound checks, disturbance will be kept to a minimum during the final weeks of our Fright Night event. And I'm assuming, Rob, that all these fancy words and grand sort of claims about what they're going to do probably amount to they've hired some guy for £6 an hour to sit in a booth and just make sure that if the sounds go off, he quickly pulls the plug. That's basically it. Probably this guy, probably Mr. Tennant.
I don't think they need to even go that far. I think they just unplug the console at the end of the day. I've been to one of the Friday night events. It's not my thing.
Oh, of course you have.
I only went because of the ride stay open until 10 o'clock, and it's nice to be able to experience things like Swarm, Stealth, Colossus. Not really the Saw ride. I mean, the Saw ride's great, but obviously people don't know. Obviously, with the Saw ride, it's one of the first rides in the world which has a more than 180-degree drop, which is interesting. I can't remember the name of the ride. There's a specific type of ride it's called, but anyway, never mind. Hello?
Rob, do you want to give us your Halloween themed story? Because there's still that chill in the air.
Absolutely. So this comes from from Sky News. I couldn't find a local version of the story, unfortunately. It comes from Janess Mitchell, who is the Scotland reporter, from the 13th of October. Now, Alex, over this podcast, we've covered stories of the Gimp Man on numerous occasions. This is not the Gimp Man. I want to quickly add. But it's similar to that. So the headline is, Clown stalking village streets and leaving residents terrified, dares police to catch them.
Okay, that would be scary. This is when clowns, who can of course be a figure of entertainment to children, can become scary. I mean, clowns have always straddled that line, haven't they, Rob, between something that could be entertaining but something very fearful, and that's been exploited in films like It, things like that. I mean, McDonald found out about that the hard way, where Ronald McDonald is still a thing, but you don't see him, Rob, because now he's viewed as something sinister and not somebody you'd want near your kids. And if the lawyers want to come after me for that, I'm not talking about the Ronald McDonald, I'm talking about clowns. But, Ronald McDonald didn't even have a proper red nose. He just had painted the end of his nose. He couldn't even be bothered to find one. He just had that little blob of paint, didn't he, on the end of his nose, Ronald McDonald, I'm pretty sure.
Have we ever talked about the Clown Museum, just out of interest, on this podcast?
No, Rob.
Okay. So, in Dalston, I think it's Dalston.
Where?
There is Dalston.
Where's that?
North London, Alex. Dalston, not far from Shoreditch.
Oh, right, okay.
Anyway, so in Dalston, in a church, there is a museum of clowns. I can't remember the exact name of the museum, but basically, it has a room that has eggs, hard-boiled eggs, loads of them, with different painted clown faces. And this room is significant because, I'm not sure if you're aware of this, every clown's face is unique. And this room,
we've talked about this on the podcast, haven't we?
Yeah,
what
I
do you
think
mean
we have.
by that?
Yeah.
That's part of the tradition of being a clown, isn't it? That you have to do something unique. Could even
yes, so you have to have a certain So you can't copy another clown's face makeup, basically. And you can go and visit it, I believe, which I haven't done, but I would like to do. So, a clown who has been reportedly stalking the streets of a Scottish village has issued a message to the media, daring the police to catch them. The person wearing a Pennywise-style outfit has been allegedly leaving red balloons around Skelmorley in North Ayrshire. Pictures and videos of the clowns posing around darkened streets have also reportedly been uploaded and then deleted from social media. A Facebook account for the Skelmorley clown has been set up with the name Cole Demos. Is that spelled Cole Demos? Don't know. So in response to news reports that they had left locals terrified, the clown uploaded a message to media during the early hours of Thursday morning. In the rhyming video, they said, well, I've made the news again. Should I smile for the camera with my hideous grin? The Facebook profile says the character...
Sorry, that doesn't rhyme.
School. It does?
Grin and again doesn't rhyme. And maybe.
Oh, I made the news. Yeah,
let's be honest, Rob, let's just be honest a second. This is Nicola Sturgeon, isn't it?
Well, Alex, she needs to get something...
Or Alex Salmond. Alex Salmond make a good clown.
Yeah, I agreed. I'm not sure what he's up to these days. I mean, Nicola Sturgeon seems like she's in, allegedly, quite a lot of hot water around financial impropriety. So the Facebook profile says the character studied at clown school and lives in Skelmorley. In response to a local who said the clown had deleted previous posts because they were getting too much heat, they said, "What a stupid thing to say." And for those who don't know, Pennywise the dancing clown, didn't know he was a dancing clown, is the main antagonist in Stephen King's It. The character stalks the streets of Derry in Maine, where he kills children roughly every 27 years. Lovely bit of context there. Police Scotland was said to be aware of the clown's post, but when contacted by Sky News, a Force spokesman said police have not received any reports. The clown, who first appeared in the village in 2021, said, "Do you think that I care? They have to catch me first, and yes, that's a dare. They call me the killer clown. Why don't you leave the jokes to me? The only thing that's dying is your credibility." It's good, isn't it? Calling out the journalists who have covered the story, the clown added, "Clown doesn't want fame, glory or gold. He just wants to play in the so-called sleepy town." Doesn't rhyme. "So come and join me and learn to fear the Skellamori clown. Another person also told the clown to never stop. Yeah, sorry, Alex, go on.
When I was young, I think about 12, my sister, who's 5 years younger than me, would have been about 6 or 7, something like that, and we were babysat by this babysitter who decided it would be a good idea to take us out or to like the local movie rental place, and she rented this movie called Clown House, which I'd like you just to put into Google Clown House 1989 just so you can see the on IMDb the poster for it.
Oh my god.
So the strapline is "You can't leave, they want to play." I remember it ended with an axe in the back of somebody's head, and so we watched that and couldn't sleep afterwards. Actually, it had Sam Rockwell in it. Would you believe? I don't remember that.
How? Yeah. Who was this person? I mean, why did your parents feel it was appropriate to let this person babysit you?
I thought I remember they were a family friend. I mean, obviously, I don't want to name them. Don't want to cause problems now. Go back to that.
Right.
So it was. I think the film is only an hour and 20 minutes, which is incredibly short. Is it?
The trailer is on IMDb, and I'm just watching the trailer with the sound off.
It's 81 minutes long.
Yeah. I mean, it looks dreadful. I mean, it looks very, very 80s.
I remember enjoying it.
Oh, really? Okay, that's interesting.
I mean, Rob, just to say a review. The first time I saw this film, I went in open-minded, and let me tell you the truth, this film was effective. Scary, very suspenseful. It felt different from other clown horror films. Like many others, I had a fear of clowns growing up. I saw this film towards the end to try and end those fears. Maybe that's why it was so effective. Anyway, basically 3 lunatics escape from a mental hospital, kill and dress up as clowns from the fair. They come across a house where 3 siblings are spending the night alone, and they attract the lunatics. So it was... probably watched it sort of October time. Yeah, so I think that was around the same. Because you remember, I was also around that time, Rob. I did a few children's birthday parties as a clown. I think after that,
yes.
I think after that side hustle ended. Okay, Rob. What Halloween themed, which were half Halloween themed episode of Local Anesthetic podcast wouldn't be complete without a bit of a dose of Satanism, Rob? This is from the Sunday Times of London. It's from September the 11th, 2023 by James Imam. Headline: Celebrity cat's disappearance raises fear of satanic deeds.
Right, why?
And this story does, Rob, involve the Italians' version of the RSPCA. So,
great.
So, Nima Benatti is known for her classy photo shoots of Italian celebrities. They have graced the covers of Vogue and Vanity Fair, and she has become a star in her own right as an influencer and a model, Rob. Like many style luminaries, she has a look that is completed with an array of striking accessories, which in her case includes a fluffy white cat called Bartolo. Balanced on her knee in one photo, Bartolo sits with a poise and grace that seem to be at one with a spray of white flowers behind her. But that was then, Rob. Bartolo has since been plucked from his pampered life and joined dozens of cats, who are now missing near Bologna. Now, Rob...
Right.
We, of course, and I mean this genuinely, probably led the news on covering the Croydon cat killer, who at first was called the Croydon Cat Ripper.
Yep.
That name morphosized to morphed into the Croydon cat killer. For a while it was called the M25 cat killer, wasn't it? And then, of course, it went nationwide because cats were disappearing everywhere.
Yeah,
and this went on for years, Rob. Cats turning up mutilated, beheaded, but the police kept insisting that it was foxes. And a big investigation said they found no evidence that it was a result of one human. But of course, there was that whole group. Well, when I say group, it was 2 people, a couple, who made up that group called Snarl, who were convinced that these cats were being butchered and murdered by some sick, depraved individual. That couple eventually split, do you remember, Rob, and eventually ended up being at loggerheads together, the man and the woman?
I remember
wasn't
well,
he for a time, wasn't the guy from Snarl for a time keeping corpses of the dead cats in his freezer, or have I made that up?
No, you haven't made that up. We did cover that. He was quite open about that. I think he gave an interview. I'm sure he gave an interview to the News Shopper saying that that's what happened.
He was not the Croydon cat.
Yeah. I think we also need to say that it wasn't just, if you remember, it wasn't just the police who determined that the perpetrator wasn't human. I think it was also the Royal Veterinary College also got involved, and they did an autopsy and determined that it was a fox as opposed to a human who was doing these beheadings.
Foxes.
Fox, yeah. It wasn't just one lone fox.
And just to be, hang on, when you say doing the beheadings, it wasn't walking around with a knife and beheading cats. I think there was a reason why it was happening, but anyway.
Yeah, good point.
But then again, Rob, I don't necessarily trust any of these institutions. I mean, but look, let's just get on with the story. In a small stretch of the Apennine Mountains, have I said that right? I think I'm right. In a small stretch of the Apennine Mountains, 30 cats were reported missing last month. For hers, Benati, 31, is offering a €5,000 reward, Rob. So let's get moving, Rob. Let's go.
Absolutely.
She has also enlisted Said Baid, a pet detective. Rob, this is the best story ever. A pet detective to look for the 5-year-old chinchilla silver shaded Persian who went missing on August the 9th. We for a while, Rob, wanted to be woodland animal murder detectives because we were covering a lot of stories of woodland animals who were turning up murdered in suspicious circumstances. Rob, to be a pet detective. Ace Ventura, those films now, Rob, I remember them very fondly, but I don't think they can even be broadcast now because the first movie is now seen as anti-trans because if you remember the woman who was, do you remember, she was, I can't remember the actress's name, but she was the woman who played Rachel in Blade Runner. She was in the first Ace Ventura, and it turned out that she was actually a man, but the way that trans people were talked about throughout that movie was quite derogatory.
I don't remember that, to be honest. It's been so long since I've seen the film, but I'll take your word for it. Right.
And the second movie had him visiting Africa, which really played up to some very offensive stereotypes about people who lived in Africa. The problem is we have two geniuses' performance from Ace Ventura, but we have it stuck in a time which, to be fair, you could say that about a lot of these comedies, though, couldn't you? I mean, there's something about Mary disability is, do you know what I mean? The jokes in those films, Dumb and Dumber, whatever they are. Even the most recent Dumb and Dumber was pretty, I found there were things I was like, how are you even doing that now? You're taking the mick out of a Vietnamese accent, effectively. But, I don't know why I'm deviating onto this. I just wanted to talk about Ace Ventura, basically.
I think as well, I mean, I don't know whether they'll start doing what Disney do, which is, have you seen, well, if you watch any of the older Disney films, they've started adding like a disclaimer at the start of the film saying that that there are potentially culturally insensitive scenes within this film. So basically it's a disclaimer before you watch it. And I mean, you can't add that to every film because I'm sure that every film maybe was of its generation, if that makes sense. Anyway, that's a slight detour there.
Anyway, Rob. Bartello is like a son to Nima, Rob.
Right.
Shasha Benati, her sister and personal assistant, said she sleeps with her on her pillow and on the sofa. She is her shadow. With a thick covering of white fur and large green eyes, Bartello is often compared to Chipetti, Karl Lagerfeld's beloved white cat, who was invited to this year's Met Gala in New York. Benati bought her cat, who is neutered, from a breeder in Naples and has never had him microchipped, even though such breeds sell, Rob, for hundreds of euros. Benati left Bartello last month with her family in Mogadero, a small town near Bologna, where she went on holiday to Costa Rica. Previously, he'd been fine there. He'd always had free rein in the mountains, her sister said. He'd leave for 2 days and come back drenched after a storm with a mouse in his mouth. He was a proper cat, as opposed to a not proper cat.
What does that mean?
The family has received hundreds of reported sightings, videos and photos of similar cats from as far afield as the Netherlands, Rob. But Bartello has yet to be found. I quite want to ring this hotline if I've seen him in Addington.
Yeah, I don't like to brag, but I was in Blackpool the other day and I'm pretty sure that he was walking down the promenade.
Yeah, exactly.
He was on his way to the pleasure beach.
So the pet detective said that cat disappearances were common during the summer when owners would go on holiday and leave their pets with friends or family in unfamiliar environments. He says some are stolen by cat thieves who breed them for profit. Others are eaten by wild animals after they venture outdoors as they search for owners and get lost, he said. And as we know, Rob, some are taken for other purposes. Say no more.
Sex purposes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, say no more. Right. Okay. Sorry.
However, the Italian Association for the Protection of Animals, which is their equivalent, Rob, of the great RSPCA. So the Italian Association for the Protection of Animals, which I guess the acronym would be IAPA.
Like it.
And the Italian Association for the Protection of Animals and the Environment, so it would be IAPA, believes that the reason for the disappearances could be, Rob, more nefarious.
Right.
Having found no cat carcasses, it dismissed suggestions that the cats were being eaten by wild predators, suggesting instead, Rob, that a satanic sect could be abducting the cats.
Alex, look, I don't know why they've put that out as a potential cause. I really hope they have proof of this, and someone just hasn't.
They've suggested it. They haven't. Hang on. Just imagine, Rob, if when the cats were going missing in this country, the RSPCA had come out and said they thought Satanism was involved.
Yeah, exactly. Surely you'd make some. I mean, maybe they have evidence to suggest that this is the case, but that seems like a jump. I'll be honest.
Let's hear what they've got to say. The Italian Association for the Protection of Animals and the Environment. They say, Rob, the issue is urgent and alarming, and cat owners are beginning to feel afraid, said the association, which has reported the existence of sects across Italy whose members sacrifice black cats to mark Halloween. Now, one issue I'm finding... Yeah, but you can paint her black, Rob.
Yeah, right,
Satan won't know.
Sure.
Satan won't care.
No.
Many will be hoping their cats have simply got lost, Rob. Runaway cats commonly hide in shrubbery during the day and venture out at night in search of food. Methods for finding them include placing cat food in front of strategically positioned video cameras and conducting search operations with thermal vision goggles or surveillance drones, as well as by using sniffer dogs. Domestic cats can be found weeks after living in the wild, especially if they have access to food or have joined a colony of feral cats. Others that have been reported missing include, Rob, Eddie, the 12-kilogram cat that disappeared near Monzuno on August the 31st. His owners have offered €1,000 for his return. Some owners have reported finding their cats' unbuckled collars without traces of blood. The Carabinieri are understood to be investigating the case with local foresters. Benatti's sister said she refused to lose hope that Botello is still alive. The idea that somebody has harmed him makes me want to cry, she said. I just hope that if someone has taken him, he's having a good life in somebody else's home. Now, that's a story. Why do they think satanic sects are involved, Rob? Any idea? I'm just going to check and see if I can get the comments up.
Yeah.
Because the good readers of the Sunday Times might be able to illuminate this.
I don't really have a reason for that, Alex. It seems like a massive jump. Also...
Basically, we can't find them, so it must be Satanists.
But also, it reminds me of the story we had last week, where with the men walking around in garter belts, where the police advice was just to shout loudly. It almost feels like they're sort of palming off their responsibilities in some way.
Okay, comments, Rob. S. Graham says the best you can say is this article is a good advertisement for making sure you get your cat microchipped. Danny's Cody said it's obviously a really, really, really slow day at the Times. I like this from John Held. He says if dogs could text you, they would bomb your phone with, "Are you coming home? Are you coming home? Where are you? Where are you? Oops, I destroyed something. You coming home? You coming home?" That is very true. If cats would text you, they just wouldn't.
That is true. I mean, it's not really relevant to the story, but...
Yeah. This is the Times Freddie Star 8 my hamster moment. Please, 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 could we have a new editor, one that could read and write if possible? So, obviously, the Times would be unhappy.
Lovely.
Amanda Hurst, sorry, what? Black cats are stolen to be sacrificed by Satanists has crept into a story about a white cat going missing. Anyone else see the problem here?
Yep.
Somebody here says the cats are not being stolen, they're just running away from their nutball owners.
Could be some truth to that.
Somebody here, Rob, who is fastidious and a stickler for detail, just simply says, Italy does not have an equivalent of an RSPCA because it doesn't have a monarch, so why would it have a royal society?
And that person gets Pedants of the Week.
On that note, Rob, we bring this
spooky.
Yeah, spooky, half spooky, so spocky, themed.
Just the spoon,
right.
nothing else.
Yeah, I see, yeah. Okay, Rob, you're frightening
Not
me.
spoon.
Your face is very near the camera. Can you stop? We bring this episode 412. Rob, something's happening.
Oh, stop
of Local Anesthetic to a close. We're going to be back next week with 413 of LA Podcast. Please go to the website.
Another spooky episode.
Will it be? Do you want to do another
13.
one? We could.
No, I meant 13 because it's a.
Well, if we get an influx of stories from the listeners that are spooky, we can have another one. If not, we'll sack it off.
Okay.
And we can be found on our website, LAPodcast.net. From there, you can download all of our episodes. Look, you'll see that PayPal button in that top right-hand corner, I think it is, or somewhere on the website. Please leave us a tip or a rolling donation. Just something to show your appreciation. We do these episodes for free, but we do have running costs. We don't use it to feather our own nest. Believe me, we really don't. But anybody who does ever make a donation, or some of you who do leave a small running donation or a large one, we really appreciate that. And if you do leave a donation or a tip, you will get a link to all of the bonus episodes we did. There are about 45 something LA podcasts, an extra jab, because we were running a Patreon for a while where we did those, and you'll get access to all other extras. And Rob might even come to your house and
and boo for your letterbox.
Boo through. Yeah, he'll come back. Rob will come to your house and boo through your letterbox. Yeah. Boo.
Yeah, boo.
Or are you going to do spoo? Oh, boo. Right.
It's
boo,
your choice.
That kind of.
But
boo. Hang on a minute, Rob. Hang on a minute, Rob. Ghosts and boo. What's this? People don't. Ghosts don't boo people. They go, ooh. Where have you got boo from? Boo is where you.
Some ghosts say boo. I've definitely seen ghosts saying boo. Boo. Yeah, when they surprise people. Ooh, I'm a ghost. That's how they do it.
Right. Stop. Been a pleasure having your company, not yours, Rob, the listeners. God bless.
Right. And keep it local.